When the fog finally dissipated, the god was gone, and the humans and animals were also gone. The man asked, "This is a fight to the death. If you win, my people will take my body and go. I have been trying to create a beautiful world for us, but your creations spoil it."
Time for more Ruby Tales of Remnant.
Is there gonna be more horror story-esque?
Never mind. Maybe we won't read this. Let's go paint our nails. I mean, you don't paint your. Let me go paint my nails, wash my hair,
Do all this stuff.
eat snacks, and
So-
I'll let you read.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I don't know. We may finish it. We've got this much left, or we may not finish it. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a lot of really interesting stories last time, and
Yeah.
we had the one about the indecisive king, and then we
that
also
was good.
We liked the you liked the indecisive. Actually, I liked all of them. I liked that we had the first two, and then the third one was like, here's some horror. But honestly, like, it makes sense that there would be some grim. I mean, hello,
Yeah.
it's in the dang. It's Grim Tales, right? So
Yeah.
that's what it's based off of.
It's just a nightmare. That's all it is, right?
No.
She's gonna wake up and everything's gonna be okay. No. It was not a nightmare.
No. So we had the sibling
She
one.
didn't wake up and not everything was okay.
So here's the thing. It's not that she didn't wake up. She
Uh-huh.
actually got turned into a Grim. So she's still alive.
Well, yeah.
But she's a Grim while everyone else is not alive.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the entire
I'm with
town
you
is
now.
gone.
Okay.
But she's still alive. But she was also self-aware, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had the siblings that came together. We had the indecisive king, and we had the grim child. But now we have less grim, it looks like here. We have called the Judgment of the Faunus.
Ooh.
Where's your water? Actually,
I don't
I'm
have
gonna
my
need more water. That.
Oop.
That's a problem.
Do you want to pause this and we can go get
We'll
water?
see how much I need it.
Okay.
Alright, so this is going to be the picture. Much nicer picture than last time. Do you want me to go back to the Grim Child?
No.
You want to see that again?
No.
Okay, so this is going to be recorded by Professor Leonard Lionheart. And those of you who are not familiar, Lionheart is basically based off the Cowardly Lion. He is a headmaster from another school. Like Ozpin is based off the Wizard of Oz, right?
Okay, I see.
So, yeah, Leo has a very interesting story in RWBY, and I do kind of feel for the dude, but at the same time, I'm like...
Yeah.
Anyway, kick back, relax, and let's see what we had here.
Right.
Many, many years ago, in a faraway land, there was a war between humans and animals. Humans envied animals because of all the amazing things they could do. They could run faster than rumor spreads, see in the darkness as if it were daylight, and wield the strength of 3 people at once.
Ooh.
All of that, and they were never troubled by the creatures of Grimm, which sought only to destroy humans and their creations. The humans' envy soon turned into hatred. Yet animals also envied humans because of all the amazing things they could do. Humans could use dust to perform miracles, they could adapt to any situation, and they could build structures, machines, tools, and weapons. All of that, and they persisted in the fact of the constant adversity of tragedy brought by the creatures of Grimm. The animals' envy soon into fear. As the war raged on, there were many casualties on both sides. At night, animals raided by the Hunt's human village and took whatever they needed to survive. During the day, humans haunted animals in the forest. One day, a god was passing through the land when they happened upon a bloody fight between humans and the animals. They froze everyone in place and walked into the battlefield. "Why are you fighting?" the god asked. Their words were understandable to both species, who did not understand each other's language, never tried to. The god released 1 human and 1 animal to answer. The humans and animals eyed the god suspiciously. They had 2 arms, 2 legs like a human, but also branched horns like an animal.
Ooh, they sound neat.
Yeah. "Are you human or animal?" the animal asked. "I am neither and both," the god said. "Why are you fighting?" "They're not like us," the human and animal said, pointing at each other. Little did they know they had spoken the same words. Fear of those different from you is a universal language. "Why must everyone be the same?" the god asked them. "We worry about what they might do to us," the human and animal said. "So you have something in common, after all." The god crossed their arms. "Judge not what others might do, but by what you see them do." "Humans are capable of destruction as they are of creation," the animal said.
So they're saying, like, don't judge others based on the potential of harm they could cause, but harm they've actually caused, or, like, also even good, right?
Yeah.
Like, you could do good, but, like, unless you do it, you can't be judged by that.
Exactly.
Okay, got it. Or you shouldn't be.
Evil in their hearts. Animals are so much stronger than us, but they will not join us in fighting the Grimm, the human retorted. "Have you tried working together?" the god asked. Yes, the animal said, but the humans wanted to control us and make us their property, so they could sacrifice our lives against the Grimm instead of their own. But that is not our fight. We just want to be free. Yes, the human said, but the animals are wildly and unruly. They steal from us at night. We only want to keep them in their place so we might live in a safety and peace. You have grown to see only the worst in one another, the god said, but you are more alike than you realize. Your potential is unlimited if you can only learn to celebrate the other's best qualities and embrace your differences.
Oh.
The god looked round, and soon a large group of humans and animals could move again. Each side regarded the other apprehensively. I can end all this conflict if you agree to subject yourself to my judgment, the god said. If you do not agree to live in peace, you will kill one another off, and perhaps destroy the world in the process.
Oh, this is hitting a little close to home, you all.
The humans and the animals
we all just get along
carefully. The humans saw themselves in the god's speech and manner, and were certain the god would side with them. The animals noted the god's magnificent horns, so they assumed the god would side with them. We choose life, the humans and animals said at the same time. We accept your judgment, O wise one. So be it, the god said. Suddenly a thick fog rolled into the battlefield. The humans and animals called out in panic when they were unable to see one another, still worried the other side would attack. When the fog finally dissipated, the god was gone, and the humans and animals were also gone. But when they could see one another again, they could see that both sides had changed. The animals had gained human features and stood upright on two legs, while the humans had gained animal features and enhanced senses, though they now looked like they were different from the other one. Some had ears of a cat, some horns of a bull, some had sharp tusks, while others had long tails, some had strong scales or spikes.
So they both turned into faunus, the humans and the animals. Okay.
Had fins or wings. What have you done to us? They cried. I thought the god was going to judge which one of us was superior, one person complained. Maybe they have, one of the animals said. Were you human or animal before? I don't think that matters anymore, the person admitted. If you look closely, you could tell who had been human because of the way they stroked their new fur and lifted their eyes to try to glimpse their new horns, or held their hands up to admire their new claws.
So their behaviors.
You could tell who was animal because of the way they stumbled and fell on two legs like a newborn, poked at their bare flesh, and pressed their fingers clumsily against their rows of flat teeth. Also, they had no clothes. They were astonished to feel the strange new emotion of embarrassment, although the idea of dressing up like a human never had occurred to them so far. I can see so far! Look how much I can lift! I have hands! I'm walking on 2 feet like a monkey!
I don't think monkeys walk on 2 feet, but I guess they maybe can. I don't know.
I think I've seen some that kind of walk, but it's been a while, so I don't know 100% where I saw that.
I think like chimpanzees and like certain apes do, but I think monkeys usually are for.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not a monkey expert.
Those who had been human shared their own cloaks and jackets with those who needed coverings. Aww. Finally, one of them asked what they could see and feel. It seems like we're neither human nor animal. The whole crowd had the same question. Then what are we? Better than both, one suggested. The god had created the first faunus, combining the best parts of both human and animals, so they could live in peace together. Yeah. But that is not the end of the story. Rather, it is only the beginning. Solving one problem often creates a new one to deal with. The faunus would not live happily after. Instead of warring with one another based on jealousy or fear, they would still fight with one another over matters of philosophy instead of appearance. As the faunus acclimated to their own new forms and a new kind, creatures of Grimm approached the former battlefield stealthily, drawn by the heightened emotions and confusion of fledgling beings. Those who had been animals were concerned at first, as the Grimm had never bothered with them before, but they soon discovered that the Grimm were interested in the faunus as they were in the humans. Delighting in the embroidering by their newfound strength and agility, creativity and adaptiveness, the faunus engaged the Grimm in combat, but they were still uncertain, and their bodies unfamiliar with the ways of
Look
aura.
Look at that picture!
Yeah.
You're not going to show it yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Let's see. Of aura and semblance. They took heavy losses against the Grimm, and it was a terrible blow to be cut down before finding their destiny as a new race. Horrified and afraid, the faunus beat a hasty retreat to the local village, but they also received a poor welcome and faced another hurdle. The villagers closed their doors and their hearts to strangers, alarmed by their appearance. We live here, cried some of the faunus who previously had been human. Don't you remember us? We don't know you, cried the villagers, their faces stony and their voices cold. We don't trust you, be gone! We're so narrow-minded when we were human, asked the faunus who had been. Yes, replied the rest of the faunus that had changed so much inside outwardly, so they were no longer recognized for their mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, sons and daughters. In addition, they had been pursued by the creatures of Grimm, who the villagers viewed as an
what does it say? Where is it?
Intentional to attack.
Okay.
In the chaos that followed, the Faunus and the humans all fled for their lives. The humans left to find new settlement, safe from the Grimm and close to Faunus. The Faunus left to find somewhere they could live peacefully with one another, and became the best versions of themselves, free of prejudice. Since they were born Faunus and never stopped running from Grimm and humans and searching for a place to call home.
Wow.
Ozpin's notes.
Are you gonna show the picture?
I was gonna wait.
You're gonna wait, but I'm impatient. Ah! Don't really like that.
You want to see the picture, right?
You did right. Okay.
Ozpin's notes. While the Faunus creation story is just based on a myth as the shallow sea, it contains no less truth. In fact, here the truth lies much closer to the surface. If the former is a popular bedtime story for Faunus children, this is more somber and dictate the tales that often take place as they come into adulthood and learn the harsh realities of the world and the Faunus-human relations. Unsurprisingly, Faunus always cast their god as a wise and noble figure, while human stories portray the same god as a trickster, not to be trusted. Rather telling, isn't it? Notably, many Faunus fairy tales are open-ended like this one, and it is uncommon to find any that offer what anyone might characterize as a happy ever after. Quite the contrary. Faunus stories tend to be bittersweet or downright depressing. If you're familiar with the classic novel The Thief and the Butcher, or have seen the excellent film adaptation, you might recognize the common theme in the Faunus literature. Much of it reflects the Faunus belief that their story is still unfolding and they have yet to discover their true purpose.
Do you know about The Thief and the Butcher?
I don't.
Okay.
This is a fascinating and I dare say comforting notion. The idea that we are all heroes of our story and that we have yet to make our greatest achievement. I trust that we all will have an important role to play in our shared destiny, Faunus not least among us.
Ooh. What do you think about that story?
It's really interesting. It was cool because we had gotten, when we first started reading this book, we actually did have a Faunus story.
Right. It was a Faunus creation story.
Yes, it was.
And here's another Faunus creation story that's something completely different. Yeah, so I was thinking that too.
This one's called The Infinite Man.
Oh. You want to put it down a little? There you go. Careful, babes.
I'm showing you. It's fine.
Okay.
This is recorded by Professor Ozpin.
Okay.
There once was a man. This man was said to be very powerful. Some claim that he could perform magic like a god. Some even claim that he himself was a god. But he was always the first to deny it. I am only a man, not even a very good one, he said. One day the man happened upon a village attacked by the creatures of Grimm. Most people would hasten past the glad to be of their own good fortune. But though he was only a man, he was certainly unlike most people. Instead of quickening his pace and continuing his journey, he entered the village, drawn towards panic cries for help that may as well have been calling his name. It was a mistake, but it was not his first, and it would not be his last. This man stood alone against an army of evil monsters. When the battle was over, every last Grimm in the village had been eradicated, and the man was utterly spent. 4 survivors cautiously emerged from their hiding place, wondering how they had been saved. They found the man unconscious but alive, and nursed him back to health. He awoke 4 days later. Thank you for saving us. Thank you for saving us, stranger, they greeted him. But how did you defeat all those Grimm by yourself? The man said simply. I have been at this for a very long time. You could have died!
4 days is a long time to be unconscious.
I likely would have had not have been for you. They were surprised. But we're the reason you got hurt in the first place. Were you? Well then, I guess we're even. But you didn't have to stop to save us. Of course I did. I was here when no one else could help. Why would you stay behind to take care of me? Because we were here and you needed us. The man smiled. And thus the circle is complete. I saw what you did! A little girl stepped forward, staring at the man with wide eyes. I was hiding and I saw. You waved your stick and the monsters turned to ash. Her adult companion laughed. She's been going on this for 4 days. We were hoping you could set her straight. It's true! She cried. Tears filled her eyes and her voice shook. They blew away! Now don't tell lies, the adults berated the girl. Don't be so quick to dismiss the words of the young, the man said, smiling kindly at the girl. He hesitated for a moment, then he added, especially when they speak the truth. The villagers were confused. No dust can do something like that to the Grimm, they said. No dust can, the man agreed. Then it must have been magic and you must be a god. He held up his hand. I am only a man, not even a very good one. How can you say that after risking your life for strangers? I'm trying to be a better man. He closed his eyes and appeared to be asleep. So others left him alone. They had more questions than before, but those could wait until morning. The night the man crept out of the village, soon he realized he was being followed. It was the 4 villagers he had rescued along with the girl. What do you want? The man asked. We want to be more like you, one of the villagers said. Maybe we can learn amazing things you can, but we can learn and try. The man was moved, and yet he protested. I travel alone.
Huh.
He said.
Is he hiding something, do you think?
He might just be a lone wolf.
Okay, maybe.
Aren't you lonely? Asked the girl. The man was lonely indeed, and the girl reminded him of his own family long gone. She smiled. You don't have to be alone anymore.
Oh.
Then she repeated his words back to him. Don't be so quick to dismiss the words of the young.
Oh.
Especially when they speak the truth, he added, shaking his head. You're a quick learner. He agreed to let them accompany him for a little while, at least, until they found a new village where they could settle or he could leave them behind without being noticed. It was a mistake, and it would not be his last. I'm seeing like a pattern here, for sure.
Oh.
The group journeyed together the 4 years, and in that time they were joined by more people they'd rescued from Grimm. World traveled faster than they did, and soon others began seeking them out. Some wanted to learn from the man. Some wanted to be safe, and some just wanted to become part of something bigger than themselves.
Oh.
When people whispered rumors about the man and his followers, they called them a circle, a fellowship of people committed to learning from and helping. Others for benefit of all. A new group has just arrived from the southern Esker, said the girl, now young woman. 7 men and 4 children. What do they want? Asked the man. They want to join your circle, of course. He rolled his eyes. My circle. But it was your idea to call us that. People need a name to rally around, since you won't give us yours. I've had many names.
He won't say his name.
Well, it's called the Infinite Man.
Yeah.
So it seems like he's been around for an extremely long time and maybe had different lifetimes.
Okay.
He sighed. This is a dangerous path. I've never wanted acolytes. She was startled. Is that what we are to you? She asked. I thought we were your friends. I thought you were our family. His voice softened. You are that, but I have made terrible mistakes that hurt both those close to me and strangers alike. Those who follow me are likely to find regret or worse. Particularly my family. You know, it's talk like that your humility and willingness to lead that makes people want to follow you. Ironic, isn't it? She pointed out.
Interesting.
He smiled warily. I was thinking more along the lines of annoying. We follow you because we love you and want to learn from you. You're always saying our future depends on people coming together. That is exactly what you are accomplishing here. What are we accomplishing here? The man said. You call me your savior, when in truth it is you who saved me.
Oh,
the young woman blushed.
Interesting.
That's what your teachings are all about. If we can't save ourselves, we have to save another. Life is a circle, is it not? The man laughed. The student becomes the master. It is also annoying when you throw my words back at me. That's why you do it, she said. But you are right as usual.
That's
we need to
typical
teach as many people as we can
kids.
defend themselves, right?
What did it say? Sorry, I was just saying that's so typical of kids, isn't it? For them to pick up on
I need
things.
more water.
Okay, pause it.
No pausey.
Okay.
We can hang out with the book while I go get more water.
Okay.
Talk
Hang out
about
with the
your
book.
thoughts.
Yeah, I was saying that, and here's the picture. I was saying that it's typical of kids to have this like common sense out of nowhere, and
well,
just.
apparently she's a young woman now.
Oh, now she's a young woman.
Because 4 years have passed.
Okay, interesting.
She's a young woman.
Yeah. Anyway, it's typical of young individuals to to kind of call things out like that, huh?
Yeah.
I was thinking about her still being a kid, because usually it's like kids who get a little mouthy like that, but she's very comfortable with him.
Yeah, because she's been traveling for 4 years.
Yeah, so that's why she's that familiar and just says what she thinks too.
Let's see here.
Yes.
And protect one another against the Grimm, and from worse things they might face. What could be worse than the Grimm? I know the fan's like, hi.
The fan blew the page.
What could be worse than the Grimm? She asked. I hope you never find out. He said. Not long
Worse
after
than
this,
the
the man was
Grimm?
poisoned by someone in his own group. When the traitor was discovered, he hissed. We have heard that this man cannot die, and I wanted to see if it was true. Bro, really? The young woman wanted to execute the traitor, but from his deathbed, the man intervened. Let him go, that he may tell us the truth. I am just a man, and not even. A cough kept him from finishing. A very good one. The young woman said,
He's still
a
saying
very
that.
good one. No, she said it. The young woman said she let the traitor go. Damn. Isn't there anything you can do with all your powers? The young woman asked the man, can't you save yourself? She leaned forward. You told us that your life is a circle, and you have lived as other lives before this one, that you have had many names. Does that mean that the traitor was right? I talk too much, he whispered. So it is true. His voice was low. She strained to hear it. I have never lied to you, but sometimes we make our own truths. We believe what we want to believe, or what we need to believe. If you weren't already dying, I would kill you myself. If everything you said is true, you must promise to come back to me. Come back to us, she begged. I can't promise that. She stroked his forehead, comforting, but also cajoling. All right, she said. But come back anyway. When the man died, the circle mourned him for 4 days and 4 nights, where they carried on together, continuing to spread the lessons had taught them.
Aww.
When he did return in a new life and body, he was moved by all they had accomplished. He revealed himself to their leader, now a middle-aged woman. It was a mistake, and it would not be his last. It's really you. You came back, the woman said. You didn't believe me until now, he asked, disappointed. You have to admit, even with everything I saw you do, immortality sounded far-fetched. She caught the man up on he had missed. The circle had settled and founded its own town, but they still sent people out to help others, and sometimes they brought back new members. The circle was renowned, the only place with formal training and defense against the grim, mastering aura and unlocking semblances.
Wow.
It was said that they created gods among men. The man described his journey back as he has traveled much in the way he always had, but he'd heard about the circle everywhere he went, and finally had seen it for himself. As he spoke to the woman, an audience gathered, and soon word spread throughout the circle that the founder had returned. The man rose to leave, but the woman protested and asked him to stay. He had built a circle, and they needed him. You clearly do not, he said, gesturing to the village around them. You did all this without me. This movement has taken a life on its own. We didn't do this without you, the woman argued. You are the foundation of everything, and your presence will make us even stronger. The others cheered in agreement. The man considered it. He'd wanted to bring people together, and his efforts were finally bearing fruit.
Yeah.
The accidental experiment was working, far better than any attempts he had planned in his previous lifetimes.
Oh.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
The people here believe in magic, though many have never seen it, she said. If you show everyone that it's real, that the man with the infinite lifetimes has returned and promised, I never promised, the man said. Any charlatan can show them magic if it's that all they're interested in. She shook her head. We trust in you and the fate you laid out for us. We believe in the good of people and our shared responsibility to protect one another.
That's so
and
nice.
Remnant. So many have heard our stories about you, but now you're here in the flesh. Your presence is living proof of everything you said is true. It reinforces our beliefs and commitment to the circle. Together now we will make ready for the final judgment. It would be a mistake for me to stay, he said. But you're not the first. But it's not your first, she said. And probably not your last. Lead us again. Where else are you needed more than here? Even a man with infinite lives has his limits.
I was kind of curious how she was going to accept him back now that she had become the leader. I was like, how is this going to go? But she wants him to stay.
Yep. She smiled, and he saw the girl he had met years ago in another life. The burden doesn't have to be yours anymore, she said. But think of what can pass down to the generation that follow. The man relented and rejoined his people, and for a time all the woman had said seemed to come true. Many more followers flocked to the circle, and the reputation and message spread throughout Remnant. This was what he was here for. He thought perhaps in the end he would be able to rest. And then everything changed. Circle was invaded. Not by a group of Grimm this time, but by a group of warriors who stormed to the town and began attacking men, women, and children alike.
Oh no!
The townspeople fought back violently, but the warriors were strong, even so many against so few. The circle was losing. Many of them were injured before the man was summoned. Stop! The man called. What did you want here? A warrior stepped forward and grinned, brandishing a pair of large swords. I came here to fight a god. I am just a man, and not even a very good one. That's not what I hear. Don't you use magic? Don't you die and come back to life? That's a god. I can't help what you've heard about me. The man shot the woman a pointed look. But in my experience, gods are far less than stories told about them. I assure you, I am no god, and I don't want to fight you. You don't have a choice, the warrior said. We always have a choice. We can choose to help others instead of hurting them. We can choose how we want to live and how we want to die. The man looked around, but the people who had grown close to him. We must also accept the consequences of our choices. Here's your choice then. Fight me, or we'll kill everyone here. If I win, will you leave? The man asked. This is a fight to the death. If you win, my people will take my body and go, the warrior said. And if I lose, we'll take your body and go. And you will leave my people alone, the man asked. You give me your word. The warrior nodded. Very well, I accept, the man said. No! The woman cried. Don't do this! The man shook his head. If I die, it's just a minor inconvenience. If you die, our future dies with you. The man turned away and faced the warrior in a moment. The two of them were in combat. One of his opponent's blades was infused with a purple dust. Each time her blade clashed against the man's staff, it unbalanced him for a moment. Her other sword used yellow dust to send jolts of lightning through him. When their weapons touched, if he tried to keep his distance, she fired powerful energy blasts at him, endangering not only him but all his people. And when she brought her weapons together,
dirty,
she was able to pull objects towards her. Thus, after a short while, she was able to disarm him. The man had other powers that he was able to deliver in a number of blows against her, even without his staff. Whether by semblance or purple dust, her feet always remained firmly rooted to the ground. No matter how hard he tried, he could not throw her or knock her. You see, he said to his people, any powerful aura or semblance can make someone appear godlike. I'm flattered and impressed that you're teaching right up to the end, the warrior said, narrowing her eyes, but I will still crush you. She brought her swords together, and the man became heavier. Each step he tried to take towards her was a battle. Did someone send you to kill me? He asked through gritted teeth. Your mere existence makes you a target. Now the warrior pressed him flat on his back on the ground. Don't hold back, old man. Don't you want to win? The man considered this battle could rage on for a long time. In the process of many, his people might be hurt or killed. He cared only about their lives and the future they would build. Each of their lives was precious, and while his own was expendable, there was a faster, easier way to end this conflict, and perhaps he'd already accomplished what he had set to do. The circle would carry on his mission in his absence. As the warrior brought both swords down in a killing move, the man made a choice. He made a mistake. Years and years later, when the man returned, no matter where he went and whom he asked, no one had ever heard of him or the circle. Except a very old woman who seemed somehow, this is making me emotional, somehow familiar, through her left arm and right eye were missing. When he mentioned the circle, recognition flickered on her face, and she studied his face.
Goosebumps.
The circle's been going for a long time, she said. I'm all that's left. People came and attacked us in our ideals. Our leader fought them and lost. After he died, they slaughtered everyone in the circle, except for me.
What?
Why? The man asked. Why did they destroy us? Or why did they leave me to tell the tale? I spent most of my life turning that question over and over in my mind, and I believe the answer is the same, so that everyone would know the folly of placing their hope and faith in one man. She looked away. Not even a very good man. The man knew that if she asked who he was, he would not be able to lie to her, as painful as the truth would be, but she didn't ask, and that hurt even more. Instead, she turned her back on him and hobbled away, and he let her go. Holy crap. Oh, gosh, wow.
Wow.
Okay, Ozma's notes. Quite a doozy this time. Yeah. This was a very powerful story.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Many leaders have risen up through the Remant history. False gods are by seizing control, and often people point to the infinite man, a cautionary tale of what can go wrong when you place too much faith or power in one person.
Yeah.
Or at least that they point some version of the story. Like the man who supposedly lived multiple lives, there are many variations of this tale, which in some cases are quite contradictory. In fact, few stories have been told so many different ways that over the years have led themselves easily to being used as propaganda, pushing one agenda to another. In certain hands, the lesson here is about danger following the weak leader, or those who seem to be too good to be true, or about the risk of putting others before yourself, or about being careful not to place unrealistic expectations on people. What does it mean to you? The story reveals a different lesson for me whenever I read it, but in general I have thus cynical take. I think it's more about the power of belief and how it can move people to action for good or for ill or for a mixture of both. Trust is one thing most forces in this world and is not to be abused or dismissed. As the story is related here, the infinite man places his trust in a girl as much as she did in him. And perhaps they set their expectations too high on both sides. It's only natural for us to want to need to believe in something higher and bigger than ourselves. Some people still worship gods, while others insist that we must be our own salvation. But the world doesn't work in absolute, so why can't it be both? This rendition in which the man indeed is everything he claims to be is the most romantic and I think balanced version of the story, which I have cobbled together from a variety of different accounts in efforts to paint a large and clear picture, one that's slightly more sympathetic to a man. He is alternately portrayed as a hero or a fool, and saying again, why can't it be both? Less commonly, it represents as a villain. In response, I offer another interpretation for you to consider. Good intentions do not always have good results. We're all fallible. We all make mistakes, and forgiveness of these failures goes hand in trust. Although I've embellished this story's highlights, attributing motives to the man's actions based on my own assumptions and admittedly my own prejudices, and believe that there is good in all of us, no one who wasn't there could know what really happened, and then they would only have a small part of the story. Therefore, I leave it to you to decide whether this man is worthy of forgiveness. Truth in itself is not absolute, and everyone is free to make their own choices.
What do you think about that one, babe?
Dude, that one was intense.
That one was really intense.
That one was really intense.
Yeah.
And unfortunately...
Oh, thank you.
When he was fighting the warrior girl, I'm like, if he dies, this isn't going to go the way he thinks it's going to die. Because he said, hey, listen, if you die, the circle is lost. But the warrior didn't keep her word. He died, and she slaughtered everyone but the girl.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
This is the last story, it looks like.
That was really sad, especially because they were all living in a way where they were trying to help each other and work together in the circle. So
and it worked, right? So he had died, right?
Yeah.
But then she took leadership, and then he returned. So you would think the circle would continue, but it just shows to show you that's not necessarily how it is. And it's absolutely right. Just because you do something good does not necessarily mean the outcome will be good.
Yeah.
So.
And I think also, like, we do our best to learn from others, but other people are still human. So I found it really interesting that even from the beginning, he says, I'm just a man and not a very good one.
Yeah, he kept saying that. And then also the mistakes would not be his last. I'm like, we're seeing these very interesting cycles.
Yeah. So even when we learn from other people, it's like no one has all the answers.
There's no such thing.
Yeah.
Right. So it's actually like, whoa. And you can't help but feel like bad at the end. It's like, here he is returning again, and there's this woman, the woman again, but she's older now.
Yeah.
And she didn't even ask. She just turned away because he didn't come back, whatever. So that's really rough.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have last story.
Yeah, there it is. Oh.
This is actually pretty significant because this is talking about the two brothers.
Oh.
And the two brothers is actually something you get to explore in watching RWBY.
Mm.
So the two brothers, recorded by Crow! Uncle Crow! Brawin, that's RWBY's uncle.
Oh, okay.
And Yang's uncle.
Oh. Right, because they're sisters.
Raven's brother.
Raven.
I don't know if you've seen Raven.
Huh.
Raven is Yang's mom.
I don't know that I have. But I do remember now that you mention it that RWBY and Yang are sisters.
Yeah, they are sisters. They're sisters and girls too.
Yeah.
In the beginning, a dragon traveled the universe in search of another being like himself. In all the realms and all the worlds, across every plane of existence, he finally found no one and nothing else.
Oh.
Finally overcome with loneliness, the dragon decided to create a companion with whom he could share as the cosmos of eternity, an equal. Fashion his own image, because even an all-powerful god cannot make something from nothing. The dragon divided himself and all his magic into two halves.
Oh.
However, he destroyed himself in the act of creation.
Two halves.
The old god was no more. In his place were two brothers, a dragon of pure light and his shadow, a dragon of unfathomable darkness. They were the new gods with shared memories and complementary abilities, and each thought that he was the original and the other was his copy. Well, that's not great. Though they had the distinct personalities and competing desires, they were still connected and did not feel whole unless they were together. Since they could not agree on where they would go, they decided to create a world for themselves, as they were bored by the vast lifeless universe. They decided to populate the world with other living beings to entertain them. Whatever the god of light created, the god of darkness mimicked in his own way. The god of light fashioned a sun, while the brother made a moon. The god of light made a green continent covered in lush green, grass, plants, and flowers. The god of darkness added barren desert, rocky mountains, jagged crevices in the earth. The god of light breathed life into animals to explore the new world, while his brother birthed creatures of grim that were but the dark reflections.
Oh, it's a grim origin story.
Yep. One day, the god of light approached his brother. I have been trying to create a beautiful world for us, but your creations spoil it. Your creation's almost as dull as the unending void was, said the god of darkness. If this place is going to entertain us, we may make things lively. Oh wait, that's the dark. Oh, that's darkness god. If this place is going to entertain us, we need to make things lively. With that, the god of darkness brought forth earthquakes, volcanoes, tore his brother's continent apart from his smaller lands, boiled the oceans, rained fire and ash, and wiped out all living things.
Wow.
Look at how they run! The god of darkness laughed. Look at how they die.
Ooh.
Troubled by the god, the light did what he could to repair the damage and rebuild the lost lives. But each time he did, the god of darkness invented some new catastrophe to destroy them. And worse, made them suffer as they died. While his dark nightmare beast multiplied, this spread across the world. Brother, said the god of light one day, why do you take pleasure in torturing and destroying my creations? The god of darkness smiled. You take so much joy in their creation. I merely want you to be able to do more of it. But they are living things. They have feelings.
Yeah.
And you are the causing them pain. They do not reason as we do. They do not even know what they have. They have no understanding of their past, nor do they plan for their future. They are mere playthings for our amusement. It had started out that way, but the god of light had grown attached to all different forms of life he had brought forth. In the end, each animal he made, from insects to whales, he saw small parts of himself. Even gods cannot fashion something from nothing. And the brothers had given much of their essence to their creations. When his creation suffered, the god of light felt a measure of his agony. The god of light wanted his brother to see the world as he did, to comprehend the responsibility that came with their immense power. And so we made a bold proposal. What if we create a new form of life together, one more capable and fascinating than the animals and insects? We can make them aware of what they are, empower them to control, and shape their world. The God of Darkness was intrigued. If they can think and communicate as we do, they won't be as predictable as the things you've made before. There is one condition, brother, said the God of Light. If we create these things together, we must share any decisions about their fate. You must promise not to wipe them out on a whim. They must have a chance to find their own destiny and rule or ruin this world we have made for them.
Oh, a chance to ruin this world we have made for them.
The God of Darkness agreed, and they set to work. Their joint creation required qualities that would set them apart from animals and raise them closer to gods themselves. With this goal in mind, each god prepared a gift for the new beings. I shall give them knowledge of themselves and their world, said the God of Darkness, so they can comprehend life and death, and thus they will know fear. The God of Light said, and I will give them free will, the power to decide what to do with knowledge, and choose their own place in the world. And thus humanity was born. Because they embodied the essence of both brothers, humans were capable of both creation and destruction, with freedom of knowledge to choose their sections along path of light or dark. For a time, the brothers were satisfied with what they had made, and they had watched the humanity adapt and flourish. People spread across the planet if the God of Darkness occasionally tossed adversity their way in the form of natural disaster, like a flood or tornado. The God of Light then blessed them with a bountiful harvest and fair weather. The God of Darkness is interested in testing the humans' limits and admiring their resourcefulness. Following the devastating earthquake, rather than give them despair and accept failure, humans rebuilt their homes stronger than before. They would survive the next quake, and though they grieved the lost loved ones, they picked up and pressed on. The God of Light underestimated the humans' overprotectiveness of their creation, but the God of Darkness saw how they thrived facing challenges and grew overcoming them. But there was one danger that proved impossible for them to handle. The dark monstrosities the God of Darkness had unleashed, what humanity called creatures of Grimm. The Grimm hated humans because of the light they saw in them, and also because they were jealous that the God of Darkness had created the Grimm and forgotten about them. But he was endlessly fascinated with humans. The Grimm hunted humanity at ends of world and people. They were all defenseless against their sharp teeth and claws. Your abominations are killing the humans, the God of Light told his brother. Get rid of them. You protested whatever I wiped out your creations, but now you won't do the same to mine? The God of Darkness snapped. Your creations are not alive. They are created from malice and hate, with the sole purpose of destroying all of good in the world. The God of Darkness scowled. Is that what you think of me, brother? Never forget, you and I are the same. Not exactly, the God of Light. We share similar forms and power, but we are quite different. I'm sorry I ever made you, they said at the same time. Nevertheless, the God of Darkness refused to control or destroy his own creations. Secretly, he began making more Grimm to plague humanity. Also in secret, the God of Light granted humanity a special gift to defend themselves against the Grimm. When the two brothers discovered what each had done, they argued. The argument became a battle that wreaked havoc across the world and sent many people into hiding. The desperate humans prayed that their gods and asked if they were being punished. They asked for forgiveness. They begged for mercy. Finally, the God of Light called a truce. Look around, brother. We are tearing the world apart. Let's burn, the God of Darkness said. We are making people miserable and fearing the humanity's divine destiny, the God of Light said. Perhaps it is time we leave the world in their hands and see what they make of it.
Okay.
Yes, let us leave and go our separate ways at last, the God of Darkness agreed. But just as the two brothers were so closely linked to each other, they were so closely tied with the world and their creations, most of all humanity. In the act of creation, they had become less than they had been. They'd given too much of themselves to be able to leave. We must take back our gifts, the God of Darkness said. Reclaim our power in this experiment from existence. I disagree, the God of Light said. And we promise to share in the fate of our joint creation. He gave a mighty yawn. Let us rest, and when the time comes, we will see what humanity has become in our absence. At this point, we will judge them, and if they are worthy, we will take their forms and walk among them as equals. If not, we will take back our gifts and start over elsewhere. What do you say? Who will decide whether they are worthy? The God of Darkness. Humanity will make it plain if they come together in unity and find a way to destroy the evil in the world within themselves, and they are worthy. If not, we will let them burn, the God of Light said. So shall it be. The two brothers agreed, but even in the rest, they needed some distance from each other. Each dragon transformed itself into a new continent, and on the end of at one end of their world. And the dragon still slept until the day the gods will awaken and rise and judge.
Ooh, is this a part of the story that that you knew of?
So this essentially, let me drink some water first.
Okay. Gulp, gulp, gulp. Okay, thank you.
So, I think it's volume... I want to say it could be volume 5 or 6 when you get introduced to the story of the two brothers.
Oh.
And it's actually a very interesting take on it. Ozpin is also involved as well in it as well. I'm not going to spoil it because I'm going to get you to watch RWBY. But it was pretty interesting to hear how they were created because that was something that wasn't really talked about, like how the brothers became to be. I did know that they were part of each other.
Yeah.
And I knew that one was light and one was dark. And then the dark one did create the creatures of Grimm. But yeah, I do think it's really interesting for sure. So really quickly, we have Ozpin's notes. There are many versions of our creation story, but the two brothers figure all of them. They appear in a variety of forms, but certain elements are always consistent. They arrived from the realm outside of our own, together, creating the universe from nothing. And they left on their own, whether or not you believe in the brothers, or in the story in particular. The underlying message still holds value. We are burdened with responsibility for our world, and we share a common destiny.
Wow.
Like the twin gods, we are intricately connected with one another, and if we can learn to work and live together, we can create things greater than the sum of their parts. Remant survived the Great War, but while the four kingdoms now cooperate and coexist, our bonds seem tenuous. We have fragile peace, and in some ways, we are more divided than ever. Even if the gods aren't real, even if they don't return to judge us from our deeds, we should act each day as though we are arriving tomorrow. In the end, we will be the arbiters in our fates. We will either create a beautiful, peaceful world and live in harmony together, or destroy ourselves and our planet. The gods will judge we have chosen. And if that seems too heavy a topic for a children's fable, at least there are dragons.
At least there are dragons.
There's more. There's one more story, and it's really shorter.
Okay.
And this is also part of RWBY as well. As well. Yeah.
That's pretty. Let me see. Oh, let me see. So it has a little girl on the left. It has someone who looks like an older lady.
These are all girls. They're all sisters.
All girls. But they're all, it looks like they're different ages. Okay, so she's not an older lady. She's just...
They are different ages.
Okay.
But this is actually quite important.
Like vastly different ages.
This is quite important, actually.
Okay, alright.
And I actually know, again, from, I think it's volume 6, you find out more about this.
Okay.
So this is the story of seasons, and the source is traditional.
Okay.
Deep in the forest of Remant, besides a great and powerful river, there lived an old wizard, blessed with magic, but cursed with long, lonely life. The wizard closed himself to everyone and everything in the world. So cold was his heart that the land around him was covered in snow, and the trees were bare, and animals and creatures of Grimm alike avoided him. For centuries, no one disturbed his peace, if you can call it that, until he became more of a hermit than a wizard. Then one day, an unlikely visitor appeared outside his window.
Okay.
It was a young maiden, dressed in blue and white. So that's her. Young
Okay.
maiden. He didn't know where she had come from, but he assumed she was frozen. But when he called out to her from his window, she opened her eyes.
Oh.
You there, are you all right? He asked, his voice cracked from age and disuse. I am fine, thank you for asking.
From age?
Yeah, he's a hermit, bro.
Okay.
She closed her eyes. What are you doing here in the middle of nowhere? He asked. This is not nowhere since we're both here. I'm doing the same as you. Pausing to take a rest before resuming a long journey. The old wizard frowned. Finally, he opened his door and beckoned her inside. Maybe she gave an older voice. Well, you should come inside before you freeze to death.
Said an older voice.
Well, he's older.
I know.
She rose and entered the
It's
hermit's
fun.
home, which was not much warmer than inside, but she still thanked him. Who are you? He asked. Where did you come from? My name is Winter, and where we came from is not important as to where we are going.
Oh, they're the 4 seasons? The 4 sisters?
You caught that really quickly.
Okay. Well, they look like it. Let me show the picture again before you flip the page.
You just flipped the page instead.
No, I flipped the page. So, yeah, they look like the 4 seasons because they have the different colors and, yeah.
Yeah.
It seems feasible.
Yeah. You're right, though.
Yeah.
The wizard could not remember the last time he had eaten, but he prepared a fire and cooked a simple meal for his unexpected guest, realizing that he too was hungry. They sipped plain soup from wooden bowls in silence, and when they were done, he asked her, Do you know me? What do you know of my journey? I do not know you at all, sir, but life is a journey for all of us, with a beginning, a middle, and an end. You seem quite wise for your years, he said. I've always been perceptive. I find that meditation helps clear my mind and improves focus when I lose my way.
Aww.
May I show you? The hermit nodded. Together they sat on the floor, and Winter guided him in a mental discipline. They meditated together every day, and at the end of several months, the old man had achieved the serenity and clarity of purpose that he had eluded him from hundreds of years.
Aww,
His friendship with Winter
that.
ended. His self-imposed solitude and warmed his heart.
Aww.
In turn, the frozen forest began to thaw around them. One day, the hermit was astonished to hear a beautiful voice singing outside his house. He looked out his window and saw yet another young maiden, dressed in green, kneeling on the ground and digging in the dirt with her hands. She took seeds from a pouch tied around her slim waist and pushed them onto the soft earth. "Who's there?" he called. "What are you doing?" Winter opened the door. "Oh my sister is here." The two women hugged while the old wizard watched in confusion. "And I am Spring," the newcomer said in a lyrical voice. "I am resting on a long journey. I find it's important to stop and smell the roses now then, don't you?" A rosebud sprouted from her feet and blossomed at once with the beautiful red roses. "How do you know that?" the wizard asked. "I've always been good at making things grow," Spring said. You say you're resting, but planting is hard work," he said. "I find it relaxing, and hard work can be its own reward. Let me show you." The hermit hesitated, but then he relented. Together they planted a garden all around his house, and every day they tended it. They gathered the fruits and vegetables that grew at an extraordinary rate, and then their meals greatly improved to fresh food and lively company. Gradually, life returned to its tired hermit in the forest, which flourished and became green and lush. One day, the hermit heard laughter from the outside, but before he had even rushed to the window, Winter and Spring said in harmony, "Our sister!" They opened the door and ran outside, and soon the hermit heard the three of them laughing together. The third young maiden was clad in purple. "Welcome," the hermit called from his window. "Please tell me your name." "My name is Summer," she said. "I am resting on a long journey." "Of course," thought the wizard. Aloud he said, "Why are you laughing? What's so funny?" The woman looked at him with a bright smile on her face. "Me?" Oh, I guess he was laughing, whatever. "Me," he said crisply. "I'll have you know I'm a skilled wizard. No one has ever laughed in my life." "Perhaps it's not your face," she replied. "Or perhaps because no one was here to see the folly in a great man who can do so much yet does nothing." Someone calling him out!
Summer!
The hermit felt a surge of anger, but his training with Winter had shown him how to recognize the truth in things. In his heart, he knew Summer was right. "Your ridicule is justified," he admitted. Summer changed the subject. "It seems silly to be cooped up inside such a beautiful warm day," she said. "Why limit yourself to observing the world through a small window when you can just walk through that door and be a part of it?" Joyfully, Summer twirled around. Now that she mentioned it, the wizard did find that his house had grown stuffy. He stepped outside and took a deep breath. The fresh air and the warmth of the sun filled him with such energy and life he had felt rejuvenated. It was so pleasant outdoors that he had no desire to withdraw inside his home, his self-imposed prison for all these years. For the next several months, the wizard and the three maidens spent every waking moment outside and slept under the stars. It had been many lifetimes since he had felt such a strong connection to other people on the world. One day, as they settled down to an outdoor feast on the balmy evening, the wizard felt a sudden chill.
Or balmy?
Yeah, sure. He noticed a delicate young woman standing under an apple tree. He watched with amusement as Winter, Spring, and Summer ran towards her, joining hands and dancing around the tree. Her features were similar to those of her sisters, but she was wearing orange. The wizard stayed by the table until the woman beckoned him to join. Before he could ask the new arrival to introduce herself, "My name is Fall. I'm resting on a long journey. Who are you?" "Me," the wizard said. "I am but an old Hermits do not invite people into their home or share their food," Fall pointed out. "Hermits don't celebrate all summer long." "That's a fair point. However, I have lived in these woods for a long time, which no one loved, and nothing to my name. Your sisters have brought me a new life." Fall opened her arms wide. "But sir, do you not see? You have so much already." As the four maidens and the wizard enjoyed their meals together, he realized that Fall was right. Somehow the sisters have restored him to all he had lost and given him much more than he ever could have dreamed of. They spent several more months in one another's company, but the wizard knew their time together was running out. The days grew shorter and cooler until one day the maidens announced that it was time for them to continue their journey. "Journey? Are you not traveling together?" the wizard asked. He didn't dare voice the hope he had hidden in his heart that they would decide to stay with him or invite him to join them as they ventured into the world. "Our paths lead us into different directions," said Winter. "To the four corners of Remant, but we are grateful to you for providing us with much-needed break and hospitality." "Why me?" he asked. "Why do the four of you come here to open my eyes, to share me your gifts? What makes me so special?" The sisters looked at one another, perplexed, and finally spoke. "We did not choose you in particular. We wander everywhere and do what we can for everyone because we're able to." The old wizard was at a loss. Never in his many years did he come across such kindness. He decided that he had to repay them with his own gift. "I have incredible magic, and if you will allow me, I would like to share a portion of it with each of you," he said. That's too generous, Summer said. We cannot take your magic. As you pointed out, I have never not been doing much with it. If you accept my gifts, the four of you who already do so much can accomplish even more good in the world. The sisters discussed it quietly among themselves before they ultimately accepted the wizard's offer. He summoned as much of his magic as he could and bestowed it upon the four maidens. I grant you the magic of your own mastery, your own elements, the very power of nature. May you use it to aid others, just as you had aided me. The wizard was exhausted, but he felt lighter and more optimistic about the future than he had in a long time. With the four maidens sharing his magic, knowing that they would be out there working for the good for all, he no longer felt alone. Thank you, they said. We'll do our best. Now what will you do? The wizard looked back at his house. My rest is over. It is time for me to resume my journey and work as well. One by one, the sisters left. Before they did, they made each final promise to return every year to visit their dear friend. Ozpin's notes. As with many fables, the story of seasons was first told in order to explain the natural phenomenon that people observe in the world, such as the sun, the moon, and the creatures of Grimm. In this case, the seasons winter, spring, summer, and fall are personified as maidens who wield elemental powers. Things that we cannot understand traditionally have been attributed to magic, which anyone from Atlas will tell you is virtually indistinguishable from advanced technology, or in this case, the science of weather. Of course, magic isn't the only fairy tale. It really does exist in our world, though the expert application of dust. No wonder that so many stories concern magic and magic users, and they imagine another time and place in which magic was even more plentiful and potent. However, despite the prevalence of powerful wizards and the witches in our fairy tales, the world has never known levels of magic described here, for which we should be grateful. I feel that if unrestricted magic use were possible, the results would be chaotic and catastrophic. Better to leave such fanciful notions comfortably in the realms of fantasy. It is also worth noting that the true powers of the four maidens in the story had nothing to do with magic and everything to do with who they are. The maidens' natural gifts, which they share with the old hermit before he imbued them with his own magic, are clear representations of close interplay between strong auras and semblances. And the lesson he learned are broadly applicable to each of Oz. Learn to center yourself and think reflectively to gain awareness of who you are and what you can contribute to the world. Try and nurture the life around you. Remember to stop and smell the roses. Don't view the world at a distance. Take an active part in it and events around you. And finally, be thankful for what you have and show your gratitude. Oh, there's one more. Oh my god. Okay, well, we can still... Is this like literally the last story?
No, there's more.
Okay, there's like a tiny bit more. What do you want to do?
We'll save it for next time.
Okay, so we'll actually have one more session of this.
How many did we read today? 4?
I think so.
I think we read 4.
I'm like, that's almost over, right? Because there's not that much left. Oh, I gotta put the bookmark in.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Which is this the bookmark?
I like that one. What did you think of that one?
I like that one a lot because it's a story of the girls giving to the wizard and the wizard being grateful and it really changing his life, and he turns around and gives back to them.
Yeah.
It's a really beautiful story.
It is.
Yeah.
So much fun.
How about you? Tell any
I really liked it as well, and
ideas.
I really do like the fact that, you know, each separate maiden came to visit and stayed as well, so it wasn't like one just showed up and then she did her thing and left and got whatever, so it was really cool to see him, like, connect with these women who were just like, we didn't pick you particular, we just decided to help whomever we can, right?
Yeah.
And he bestows them upon the, you know, the magic that he has, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But actually, it's pretty paramount to the RWBY as well, so when we get to watching, you'll see what I mean by that. I'm not trying to spoil anything, also for those of you who have not watched RWBY, but that is a really close to home story as well for reasons as well.
Did you already know that story?
This story is actually talked about in RWBY itself.
Okay.
So it's really cool to hear about it in the book too, because it's actually very important.
Oh.
So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So fun. So fun. I liked all those. We didn't get a creepy one this time, so you know, no creepies.
Okay. What were the stories that we got?
We got the faunest one.
Okay.
The Infinite Man.
The Infinite Man. That one was a little bit...
That one was intense.
Yeah.
That one was definitely very, very intense for sure. And I would say the Infinite Man had a lot of feels to it too. Because I felt bad for him at the end because, you know, the woman just like turns and like walks away. Yeah, that one was a bit much. I was like, okay, but it wasn't creepy. It was just it was intense.
Yeah,
you know, so
it was like not the happiest of endings.
Yeah, and we had the two brothers, which is very interesting and also important to the RWBY story as well. Yeah, and of course the four maidens. I will be curious to see. I can't believe we have more to go. Like,
so that was 4.
We literally have this time. Son of a monkey. We have this much to go.
I don't know where it went. Oh, it's okay. We'll get it after we turn off the video because it's gonna be an interesting time.
Yes.
Anyway, any other thoughts to share about these stories?
I'm excited about reading the rest of it.
Oh yeah, you're like, this is the last story. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Oh, this is the last story. No,
it's not.
So it's fun. There's
Yeah.
more stories to
There's
check
more
out.
stories.
Yeah, I like the voice that you gave the old man.
The
Yeah, you
old
did
man
fine.
voice.
you
Why
did.
do you come to my cabin? What can I offer you? Yeah, I like to do voices, as you know.
Yes, I do. Mm-hmm. Anything else to add?
Not right now.
All right.
I'm hungry.
Oh, hungry. Okay. I got to add something
say
into my
anything
mouth. Add some food in. All right. Thanks so much for hanging out with us while we read through this book. If you've enjoyed hanging out with us here, check out our channel membership, where we do once a month a super fun group chat live.
Yes!
Yeah, we go on live. All right, look forward to connecting with you again soon, and we will be sending so much love. Till next time.
Laters.